You know what? Excellence is what you want, and excellence is what you get. How are you living? What are you giving? If excellence is what you see, then excellent is who you be. What are you pursuing? It's all up to you. And when you come and make up in your mind that you want to be different, you can add to your faith. Thank you for joining us for another segment of VW Pop-Up Movement, and I am your host, Val Ward. Today, we have a guest. He's been on the VW Pop-Up Movement video series before, and I have the pleasure of interviewing him again. We know him as Dr. Ty. I'm going to let you tell the world how to pronounce your name.
Well, Val, thank you so much for having me again. Again, I'm very happy. My name is Anyeti Opong. I hail from Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Ty, I know that I've had the pleasure of working with you in different capacities. You're a very passionate man about various things that you do in and around the community. You're passionate about Ivana, which is Education Volunteers Network. You're passionate about youth. You're passionate about future endeavors, education, period. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you're trying to do in your country.
Yes, Val, thanks so much. I think, Albert Einstein said you can't keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different outcome. Right. You will always get the same outcome. So the mark of a man is not just about how many homes you have, how many cars you drive. It's how are you able to impact the society? How much are you able to impact your neighbor, your distant neighbor, even somebody in your country? That's right. So what drives me, even here in this part of the world, I am more interested in how can we change the paradigm so that our children have the ability to compete just like every other, whether it's Russia or China. Yes. We have to put our children at that competitive mode. Mm-hmm. So that has been my passion, and I want to take that back to where I grew up and begin to make something happen. So this is the driver.
All right, yeah. Awesome. Now, I know the things that you do over here. Tell me about what is your recent endeavor in your country?
Well, back home, I have been able to. The one key thing that is really holding us back is constant electrical power. I'm going to talk about this a whole lot in this interview. Mm-hmm. Constant electrical power, we never had the power supply. We can't have a power supply one whole day, 24 hours, without interruption. Mm-hmm. There is no way you can do any manufacturing. There's no way you can do any food preservation. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can do anything, internet, whatever. You can't do it without constant power. That's right. So this is the main thing. But what I have single-handedly done with my team in Nigeria is we've done high school math and science competition, where my team went through different high schools and selected eventual winner for the math and science high school competition. I was trying to spur innovation and the drive towards science, technology, and math curriculum. So, which is my passion. Mm-hmm. I'm a mechanical engineer, so you know that I'm bent towards that because I know, if you're in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, you will do well. Yes, sir. It's difficult, but once you get there, you'll do well. Yes, sir. So that's it. The statewide nationals math and science competition I've done. I'm building a school, what we call International Skills Acquisition Center near my village. Where the aim there is to be able to get all these youth that have graduated from college and they have no job. Bring them in, let them come and learn plumbing, heating and air conditioning. Let them learn car or radio mechanic, wristwatch repair, whatever thing they can learn. Women will learn all the other things that they can do, so that they, even if there's no job for them to do, they can get something going on their own. So that's number two. The other one was I've given scholarships to a number of people, people in high school, in university, and college of education. I've given scholarship. I've also, right now, we've set up a company called PIN, P-I-N, Project Impact Nigeria. Impact Nigeria is a company that I push in a lot of computers, and what we are doing is we are using Minitab and other software to catalog all the available jobs in that state.
Okay.
You know, the reason for cataloging that job is data is information. If you don't know data, you can't make any improvement. You have to know how many jobless graduates do we have? How many people have this skill set? How many people have that skill set? Once you have this data, then you can formulate policies to absorb this. If you have a segment of the population that doesn't have any skill, what do? You push them into citrus farm, where they can plant pineapple, they can plant mango, they can plant, and then this mango will be shipped to Japan. Do you know one mango is $50 in Japan?
Wow.
One mango. And also we can, these people that are, let's say you have 300,000 people without skill. You can put them into farming.
Yes.
Mechanized farming. Buy big plots of land, put them there. And then what they do is that farming will be like a supply chain to a citrus factory, where they squeeze out and make fresh juice.
Okay.
You get my point?
Yes,
these are job opportunities, but you cannot create a citrus industry without knowing the demographics. How many people don't have skills that need this job? So that's the reason why PIN is beginning to happen now. We're cataloging these jobs available. Like, for instance, if somebody wants a carpentry job, you know, where do you go to? Right now it's on, oh, do you know anybody that does carpentry? Oh, Okon, do you know anybody that knows how to do plumbing? Oh, Effiong, do you know anybody that can do electrical work? You get my point?
Right.
It's so crazy. So we're gonna talk about it, how we're gonna try to help our youth, because there's no reason for education when there are no job prospects.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Nigeria. Is Nigeria where you're from?
Yes, I was born in Nigeria, Akwa Ibom State to be in particular.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you're pronouncing Akwa Ibom, yes.
I got it.
Yes, Akwa Ibom State. Yes.
All right. So, with everything that you've just said, there is a very significant thing that you're doing right now, and you're running for governor. Am I right?
Well, I haven't made that announcement yet.
Okay.
You know, right now I'm trying to let my people know that we have to elect a leader.
Yes.
That is empathetic to the average person on the street.
That's right.
You know, that is empathetic to lack of indoor plumbing. That is empathetic to lack of constant electrical power. That is empathetic to the vast majority of youth without jobs. Right. So we have to have a leader that comes out with this passion, so that by the time that leader gets in, he knows that he has to work 24 hours to make sure, 24/7, to make sure that these lives are improved. You don't have to, you're not going to change the state overnight, but the little that you do here and there goes a long way. So your question was, let me go back to your question. You were saying, so what, running for governor? No, not yet. I haven't announced yet. I'm mobilizing. I'm trying to let the people feel and get a sense of what kind of people they want to put in office.
Yes.
You know, that is passionate about the situation, that doesn't sleep all night worrying about the situation, and knows that you can only effect these changes by being at the leadership. You can't effect changes without being at the leadership.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned PIN. PIN is something that you have in place over in Akwa Ibom?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me some other things that you're doing over in Akwa Ibom.
Well, the main thing besides the school that we are building, the Skills Acquisition Center, the main thing is the PIN, the Project Impact Nigeria. Again, we can't make a step forward in investment If I travel to Malaysia or China or Hong Kong or Korea, I can't bring those guys in if I don't have, number one, infrastructure, especially electrical power. And I cannot bring those guys in without getting the data. The data is very important. What is the skill set? What is the skill set? If I bring a computer manufacturing assembly plant in Uyo, how many people are going to be there working? I don't want to be sending people from Europe or from China to come and do it. Do you have the skill set? How many people do you have? Is it 300,000? Is it 50? Is it 100? So what PIN is doing is PIN is setting up a data, so that with that data, then we can formulate policies.
Right. Now, this is a little bit off of some of the questions that we do have to ask you. I wanted to ask, because what I'm hearing here is about empowerment. Empowering your people. Now, off camera, I was talking with Dr. Ty, and he made mention of giving, he made an analogy about giving someone an apple, right? Giving someone an apple. And if you give that person the apple, they'll eat that apple and then the apple is gone. But if you give that person an opportunity
To plant.
Yes, sir, go there, please.
Let me go there. Right now, the biggest challenge in my place, in Akwa Ibom, is going to be convincing people that it is better to plant an apple tree than eating one apple.
Yeah.
It is better to plant rice farms than getting a bag of rice.
Right.
It is better to create bakeries rather than eating a loaf of bread. So that's the greatest challenge, because everybody is hungry. Everybody wants to eat an apple. Everybody wants a bag of rice. So the people that are in power right now, towards this election time coming, they're going to flood everywhere with bags of rice.
Right.
But then a year from now, or few months,
they want that vote.
Because they want that vote.
That's where.
So the greatest challenge is for them to listen to somebody like me, say, I'm coming in, I want to be. You can collect the bag of rice, yes, but then do the right thing. Look at your children. We love our children, Val.
Yes.
We love our children. That's why an average a person from Akwa Ibom spends a lot of money in education. Okay. Education is key. Yes. My parents, when I was growing up, my parents would rather not eat, but pay my school fee. You get my point? So if we love our children, then we should worry about our children's future after we are gone.
That's right.
So our kids now are graduating from universities and colleges of education. No opportunities. Our women graduate and then they go for short time. I don't want to expatiate on short time, but it is the lowest of the low. It makes us black men to be absolute failures, that we cannot create opportunities. But one of the biggest impediments is electrical power supply, constant. Because, I don't know if you know this, in Ivory Coast is a country in West Africa. Okay. Ivory Coast, believe you me, they have constant power. So my friends have asked me this afternoon, they said, what about Ivory Coast, Dr. Ta, Anita, you said power is the biggest impediment. But what about Ivory Coast? Why does Ivory Coast have power and yet they are still mired in poverty? The reason that Ivory Coast is mired in poverty is because Ivory Coast, Abidjan, is the dumping ground for French products. French, because of the colonialism, the French are still controlling Ivory Coast. So they dump everything from France. All manufacturing is done in France, and then they dump it in Abidjan. And all those guys are doing is struggling, buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling. You can't get out of poverty by buying and selling. You want to create the companies. You want to industrialize.
You're speaking the word today.
Yeah. So the French have gotten a chokehold. But this is the thing. This is where leadership comes in.
Yes, sir.
The leader will go to the French guys and say, look, we want 10% of your lotion manufacturing. If you're dumping lotion, the cream we put on our bodies. If you are getting I'm just using this as an example. If you are bringing lotion here, let us have 10% of the market. Let us produce 10%. But the French guys will say, oh well, if you want us to bring our French engineering our French money, our French this to set up this 10%, we're not going to do it. So what the leaders then would do, the leaders of Ivory Coast would do is, don't worry, we don't want your French engineering, but we will buy the machines from you. We will buy the machine from you, and then we will, our youth, our graduates, both in diaspora, in London, China, England, US, those graduates will bring them home and say, come home and help us create this 10% of this lotion.
Understand.
You get the dynamics.
Yeah.
So that was Ivory Coast, and that is not happening. I hope that is going to happen. But if you come down to my place, Akwa Ibom, we don't have. Luckily for us, we don't have this chokehold by the British.
I understand.
Yeah. So but the unfortunate thing is that we don't have constant power.
Okay.
So the biggest one is going to be getting the constant electrical power. And as you were saying, without the power, we cannot create rice farms. We cannot preserve rice farms. Without constant power, we cannot create bakeries. Okay. Without constant power, we cannot have indoor plumbing. Without constant power, we cannot do a lot of stuff. Understand. So my passion is constant power. Give me constant power or death.
Right. And that makes sense because, like you said, you want to have this other stuff on the back end, as far as the rice fields and the bakeries. But if you don't have the constant power, then you can't get those
You can't do it.
Right?
You can't do it.
So is it like power is on one day and then the next day is
Not
off?
even up to one day. Power is on from 9 to 10 a.m. and from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. no power.
Are they shutting it off or?
Shutting it off completely. Then they bring it back on again, or sometimes it's low voltage. So we have to, I'm going to expatiate later on this, we have to find out what is the cause of this and set up what we call CITF, Critical Infrastructure Task Force, that will monitor this thing 24/7 in maintenance and everything. In fact, we can go even further and say, look, worst comes to worst, let's go nuclear. Enough is enough. Let's put nuclear power there. But I'm just saying, if it comes to, if push comes to shove, we'll go nuclear. But in the meantime, we'll look at, you can talk about wind, solar, geothermal, but that does not cut it. We want to see what what is being done in Vietnam, what is being done in Mexico, in Brazil, what is being done in Malaysia, what is being done in Singapore, what is being done in Korea. We want to see what are they doing. Why are we not doing it?
Come on, Dr. Ty. I understand. And I feel your passion.
Yes.
Now, with all that being said, how do you plan on addressing the poverty situation in Akwa Ibom State?
Very good. The poverty situation in my place is dire. I mean, on average, a person from my place probably lives in less than $1 a day. I mean, the poverty situation is, everybody is competing for scarce resources. You know, the leaders are enjoying, but the vast majority. So how I will address this is going to be, the very quick thing is electrical power. I mean, I'm going to talk about, like I said earlier, electrical power or death. Yes. Give me one of those. Just give me the constant electrical power or death. But the poverty situation comes from, obviously, you have to industrialize. You have to industrialize. You have to go to General Motors and say, look, we have constant power. We will give you this land. Come and create assembly plant. Poverty, you cannot eliminate poverty by buying and selling. You see a woman in Africa carrying puff-puff or ice cold water, walking around selling. You cannot improve poverty by buying and selling. Buying and selling, the margin is very small. And what about when you get sick? So how we're going to quickly fix this is going to be, we're going to try and say, if we must consume, we must produce. If we must produce, we must consume. Opening up market. In my state, we are lucky. We are right there in the coastline. Okay. We can develop that coastline, make it resort town, so that people from Europe and North America, they can come in there for vacation. Yes. You know, like they go in Aruba. Yes. Yeah, we have a vast coastline that is just sitting down there, undeveloped. You know, so our youth in this country, as you know, parks and recreation. One of the things I'm passionate about too is, you know, we can free up the space by using aerial real estate. Aerial real estate, what I mean is high-rise buildings.
Yes, sir.
Right now, buildings are all crowded.
Okay.
If you come to my place, everybody wants to have a place. We shouldn't be doing that. But again, it goes to constant power. Because how are you going to drive the elevator? If you go to China, which I've been to several times, and Hong Kong and Korea I've been to several times, they have high rises. And it frees up the room, the ground for basketball courts, tennis courts, running park, trail, zoos, museums, industries, open fields.
Yes.
A healthy mind is a healthy soul. And so our people we have to change how we live.
That's right.
So that's one. So to go back to your earlier question, to address poverty, is going to have to be electrical power. Once we have electrical power, then jobs will be created. You know, I don't mind going to Hong Kong guys and prostrate and telling them, look, come down, we have constant power. Come down and give us an assembly plan. And that is it. And then the skills acquisition. You know, everybody would have to learn some form of skill so that you move from, or do micro loan. You can even give micro loan to traders, to farmers, so that rather than rearing one goat, they can rear 10 goods. And then that goods, then they will start sending that good to what I call regional economic cooperation, where we will try to link up with Cameroon. I've never been to Cameroon, but it's almost like 50 miles from Uyo.
Okay.
I've never been to Equatorial. So what I'm saying is we have to establish a regional economic cooperation, so that if they are fishing, they know that, look, this fishing that I'm doing, I need more fishermen.
Yes.
So that we can fish enough and be able to send enough to Cameroon.
Okay.
That poverty improves there.
Yeah.
You know, if you have somebody that's making furniture, okay, we're going to make more furniture, so we need to hire more skilled carpenters. So that we can then ship this furniture to Equatorial Guinea. You get my point? So that type of strategy will quickly, and then you give incentive to small-scale manufacturing businesses as an incentive for them to improve and hire. But again, everything has to start from constant electrical power.
Electrical power.
Yes.
I got you. Okay, what is your plan for the rural areas, the roads, the hospitals, electrical power?
Very good. Again, our cities are crowded. If you go to Uyo is crowded. You go to Eket is crowded. You go to Oron is crowded. You go to Ikorekpene. We cannot, it's not sustainable. We have to do a remigration. And the way to do remigration is to put companies and industrialize the rural areas. Then you will find that people will leave Uyo town and go and live. In fact, when I go home, I would rather live in the rural areas because everything is green.
Yeah. Fresh
air. You know, it's just lovely place. You go into the bushes, you go into the forest. But what I'm saying is, there has to be an industrialization of the rural areas, you know, to try and put businesses there. In fact, we can even have 3 state capitals. Right now we have a state capital in Uyo, but you can have the legislative in Uyo, you can have the judiciary in Ikorabasi, you can have the executive in Oron. You get my point? Yes, you split it up like that so that developments are more closer to the people.
Yes.
So that is it. That's how we gotta do something about the rural areas. Right now there are no ambulances in the rural areas. If you are sick, if you have heart attack, you will die. Because there's nothing that can rush you to. In fact, even if you go to the hospital, if you don't have money, we're going to talk about health insurance. If you go to the hospital, even if you have a big cut and blood is gushing out of your leg, you won't even get a Band-Aid unless you have the money. So it is absolutely, it gotta change.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they won't even attend to you
They
at
won't
these
even,
hospitals
the hospital won't even
unless
attend
you have money.
unless you have money. If the money is 20,000 and you said, look, I have 10,000, just take care. They will bring the balance. They won't take care of you until you put that 20,000 down.
My goodness. Wow, that's something else, Dr.
Yes,
That's
yes.
something else. I see why you're so passionate.
Yes.
And you want this change.
I want this change. I want to change so badly.
Yeah.
Give me change or death.
I understand.
Yes,
I understand.
yes.
And with that being said, you're very passionate also about the youth, and we kind of talked about that earlier. So what is your agenda for the youth there?
The youth is my passion because, growing up, I know the number of brilliant people at Lutheran High. I went to Lutheran High School, Oberham. There were so many bright kids there. I mean, I was lucky to get out, but there are so many bright. These kids, they will solve any complex mathematics. They will solve any complex physics that I will stand there and say, wow. So, so what happens is the parents invest all this money in the youth, in education, and after they graduate, there's nothing. So the plan for the youth is going to be trying to, again, the skill set. If you have graduated from college, you're going to have to go learn how to repair, fix a car. You become a mechanic. You're going to go into air conditioning. Again, everything has to be a constant electrical power.
Right.
I mean, I don't think
it all goes back to that.
It all goes back to constant power because you can promise heaven and heaven. I don't want to use the word hell. You can promise heaven and heaven, but if there's no constant power, look, you're lying to the people.
Yeah.
You're lying. I can sit here and say I'm going to do this, do this. I'm going to give you. But if you don't have electrical power, I'm lying. I'm not telling the truth. Yes.
I get you there, but
Yeah.
you're right. Everything hinges on constant power.
Constant power.
Constant power.
Yep, right
and then
now
everything else falls
into place. Yeah, in restaurants, in offices, in businesses. Akwa Ibom is a virgin. What I mean by virgin is some untouched.
Okay.
Especially in information technology. All our offices are still, if you walk into an office, like when I went into one of the offices, the file is from the floor to the ceiling.
Oh.
The floor is from the files. Because there's no internet.
There's no got you.
Documents are from...
So they're still
Yes,
okay.
documents are piled up from the ground to the ceiling. So, but if there was a computer and constant power, all those things...
They can enter all that data.
Correct. So, and that would be job for somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yep.
Now, how do you intend to drive the economy of Akwa Ibom State and make her IGR, that's internally generated revenue, go minimum triple?
Yes, very good. That's a very good point. Internally generated revenue, IGR, we cannot rely on one revenue stream. Right now, Akwa Ibom is a state, is an oil-producing state.
Okay.
And you would expect that an oil-producing state that we are, we should be enjoying. So the federal government sends allocation. There's going to have to be transparency because a lot of people, the mistake a lot of people have made is that the state is rich, but the state may not be rich. Maybe we've not communicated. The government has not communicated well the bank account, the balance, because the state probably owes a lot of money. Okay. So when the federal government sends a bulk allocation to the state, before you even arrive, let's say they send 50,000. By the time it arrives in the state probably sees 10,000 or 15,000.
Wow.
But the people don't know because the state probably owes a lot of money. You get my point?
I understand.
So there has to be that transparency. But again, we cannot rely on one revenue stream. That's why industrialization is the key. So that we can generate money, like I was telling you about the citrus farm, where we can industrialize and get our own fresh juice making company.
Yes.
People get jobs, and when they get jobs, they pay taxes. You get my point? And that taxes helps in, you generate internal revenue.
That's right.
So we cannot rely on parks and recreation. You can create parks and recreation whereby people will go in museums. You go into that museum, you pay a little money to enter.
Okay.
You get my point? So we need to create opportunities that will generate more money for the state and not just rely on one revenue stream.
Now, you said something earlier that it piqued my personal interest. You said it's an oil
Oil-producing state.
Oil-producing state.
Yes.
Now, with it being an oil-producing state, they're not employing anyone from the state?
Absolutely. That's the thing. The oil-producing people are not being employed in this place. Majority of the people that are being employed are from outside the state because of the influences. Like most of, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not bitter about that. But they should be, the government should even lead a consortium to say, okay, if this oil is being produced in this state, we need this allocation for the youth.
Yes.
We need this allocation for mechanical engineers, from chemical engineers, from you see my point? We have to have this allocation so that at least we know that 20% of our youth force, working force are employed in that company. But believe me, it is very hard to get in because the majority of the people that are being employed, they probably come from outside the state. So if you don't know anybody, our people don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They only care about you during a campaign season with a bag of rice. They don't care about you. Their children are going to the best schools in Lagos, and after they finish the best school in Lagos, they are sent to school in Europe and America. Majority of these leaders, their children are not studying in Nigeria. So what I'm saying is, it gotta be even playing field. The youth have to be driven. They have to be angry to put the right leaders that are empathetic into offices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important to have leaders that are empathetic to the people.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Now, what are your plans to improve education and innovation?
Education and innovation, I forgot to mention, a few years ago, a couple of years ago, we ran what we call Africa Innovation Challenge. We wanted Africans, look at Nigeria or Africa as an ecosystem. What happens, what works in Uyo does not necessarily work in France because it's a different terrain. What works in Washington, D.C. may not necessarily work in Auron because it's a different terrain. So we wanted the people to look at your terrain and formulate solutions to solve the problem in your terrain. One of the biggest things is we have all year round rainfall. God has blessed us, or nature, that I tend to call it, has blessed us with rainfall. We have a lot of rainfall. We could be innovative in making sure that we harvest this rainfall village by village to drive a small turbine. See, we cannot all depend on government. We have innovation has to kick in. We can harvest this rainfall into a lagoon. And then let water come out of that lagoon and drive a turbine to generate electricity to power the village. Maybe it may not be enough to do manufacturing, but at least it will power a refrigerator. So that if you are planting okra, that okra is not just eaten out right there. You know okra? Okra is...
Oh, okra.
Okra.
Yes.
I love okra. It's actually very good for you. Yeah. But back home, if you plant an okra, you harvest okra, you're gonna have to cook that okra right there. If you keep it 2 days, it's gonna spoil. But if we have a turbine that is being driven for, again, village by village, village A can harvest rainfall into a lagoon. Village B can do the same. Village C can do the same. And so these lagoons will drive a small turbine, and that will light up the village every night.
So you're saying turbine?
Turbine.
Okay. So you're saying the water?
The water, they will harvest the rainfall and then store that rainfall in a lagoon somewhere. So that rainfall then will be used in driving the turbine to generate. So I'm just saying innovation.
Water is powerful.
Water is powerful. There's no place on earth. There's no place on earth that nature has blessed than our people. We don't have snow. We don't have earthquake. We don't have nothing.
Where's my ticket? No.
There you go. No, wait, when I am in charge, I will invite you.
Awesome.
But believe me, we have the best weather. We have the best weather. But we must not continue like our ancestors lived. Our ancestors, the reason why Europeans are way ahead of us is because our ancestors, they were like a lion in the Serengeti. Serengeti. You know how a lion is well fed and is sitting there under the tree, yawning.
Yes.
Okay, antelope, you go ahead. You go on. I'm not pursuing you. I'm fed already. So our ancestors were like that. Food was everywhere. There was not too much competition on resources, as opposed to now. Right now, we are about nearly close to 160 million people. We are the biggest population in Africa. The closest is probably People's Democratic Republic of Congo. Then you have Egypt. But Ivory Coast, like I talked about earlier on, is only 23 million. But Nigeria is about nearly 160-something million. So we have a huge population and they are youthful. So what I'm saying is, if the youth really want to change, then they have to put the right leaders in place. So that's education reform will come into making a child in elementary school. The teachers will change the curriculum, not the British. We're still running the British curriculum. Okay. Let's change it to the European, United States curriculum, where we believe in practicality. Tell the kids to bring sticks. Elementary school kids, bring sticks. When they bring the sticks, tell them to build a bridge. Build a stick bridge. Build a stick dam. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Use paper to build a plane, build a transport. Put a wheel on something and let it move. So we have to start teaching our kids from that elementary school to start thinking about putting things into practice, rather than the teacher asking, what is the law of state the first law of thermodynamics? What has that got to do with knowledge?
Right.
I can memorize first law of thermodynamics. What has that got to do with my learning?
Right.
What is opportunity cost? These are examination questions, I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
What is opportunity cost? What is demand? What is supply? This is old. This is old. You should be quizzing the kids about application of the concept. So this is the education reform. We're going to tell the university, before a kid will graduate from the university, he has to have a degree. They have to have a degree and an apprenticeship certificate.
Yes.
You know, if you want to go into law, know how to run a paralegal. If you want to go to accounting, know how to set up a small accounting firm.
Yes.
You know, these are certificates. So before you get a degree in Akwa Ibom State University, or you have to show a dual degree, it's apprenticeship certificate and also the degree.
Now, is that where you attended, did your education?
No, I went to University of Ife. Okay. Now it's called Obafemi Awolowo University. Okay. I attended Lutheran High School of Oridem, which was a great institution. I still owe my allegiance to the principal there, Mr. Etim. We call him Akpana now. Okay. It was absolute. I wouldn't be here without him. Wow. You know, because he was a disciplinarian. He steered us. You know, he looked into the future and make sure that we are molded in that direction. But that's why my tears, because all my mates, they are loitering the streets. My mates that were smarter than I am, they are loitering the street. Some of them are dead and long gone. Oh my goodness. Wasted. So that is the passion I'm having. I'm saying that we have to change the education paradigm and make sure that a young girl graduating from college would have something to do rather than asking for short time. The parents should be ashamed of short time. We should be ashamed that all our women, that is the only option that our young girls have.
Now you're saying short time?
Short time. I don't want to elaborate on that.
You don't want to elaborate?
No, I don't want to elaborate.
But we won't touch
they
that
know,
right
they
now.
know.
Okay.
My people know what I'm talking about. But it is the mark of failure, abject failure.
Now, you sure you don't want to elaborate just a little bit?
No,
because the people over here need to know what that is.
No, I don't want to elaborate. No.
Okay, well, we won't push it. We won't push it.
Okay,
we definitely won't push it. Okay, let's go on to something else. Is that all right?
Yes.
What about health care? This is a huge problem.
Healthcare is a huge problem. Right now, if there's an accident on the road, everybody will walk past. Okay. There's an accident, person dying, bleeding. Everybody, we have to bring back empathy to the society. We have to start feeling for one another. So, but the problem is, if somebody were to take that victim to the hospital, you know, and the person dies, the hospital refuses to give treatment, and the person dies, the family of that person will then put all the honors, the blame on the person the Good Samaritan.
I understand.
It shouldn't be that way.
That's right.
So that's why everybody is scared. When somebody have an accident like that, they will rather walk away and let the person just bleed to death.
Oh my God.
So this has to change. But the only way to change this innovative approach is I will ask every family to put 10 naira, 20 naira into the bank, called Emergency Medical Fund, EMF, Emergency Medical Fund, so that money will accrue.
Okay.
So that if you are sick, you can go to the hospital, and it's a bulk fund. So even if there are some people that are staying healthy that may never touch that fund, so that's what the insurance does.
Right.
Some people have accidents, some don't. So cumulatively, it helps out the society. Yeah. So the emergency health account is going to help a lot of families, so that if you are sick, if you have diabetes, you have all these things, you can go in and get some treatment. But our hospitals have to be reformed. Right now, in the hospitals, there are no dialysis machine. We don't have. We don't have anything. The whole thing has broken down. So it's going to have to take a different vision, a different leadership to try and say, look, we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different outcome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Moving on to annuities and pension payments, that's a big problem.
It's
right?
a big problem because you have these people that have worked for so many years, and then they pay into the pension and annuities funds, and then when they need this money is paid late. Sometimes they don't pay at all. How do you know how we value senior citizens? There are two groups of people that we love the most in this world: senior citizens and children.
That's all right. That's right.
Senior citizens and children, because one is the future and one is the past.
That's right.
So we honor our heroes. So we have to be able to say, if you've worked all your life and if you've put this money into this fund, that fund is not going to be touched. You are going to be paid, and paid regularly and on time.
And that's dealing with our seniors.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Now, how do you intend to attract investors to Akwa Ibom State?
Again, it goes back to the fact that I have been to Malaysia, I've been to Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam, Mexico, United States, Europe, Germany. I've seen how things work.
Okay.
These guys thrive on constant power and political stability. That's what they thrive on. But we don't have constant power. So what I'm going to say is, look, we have to trace the root. Why don't we have constant power? How is Vietnam able to do it? How is Korea able to do it? How is Mexico? Let's find out how they are able to do it, and then let's do it. If we cannot do it, let's go nuclear.
That's right.
Let's bring in nuclear power. Put it somewhere. Again, like I told you, a lot of people are saying accident, accident. So what? If we are careful, we won't have accident. If we emphasize on the critical infrastructure task force, we won't have accident. So let's do it. Let's jump into the water and swim. Don't just be, oh, sharks, there's going to be sharks in the water. I can't jump in. Jump in and swim. And let the sharks come, and then you can run away. So don't be afraid. Also, there may not be sharks in the water.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
you just might be going through something mentally.
Exactly. So
yeah.
jump into the water. So let's bring in nuclear. If we have nuclear, so what? We can put it in a safe area. We can make sure that it is being monitored 24/7. We can generate electricity. We can change the status quo of our people. So that is the way I am going to. That is what is going to drive investment. If you come to General Motors or go to Ford or a computer manufacturing and say, come to my state and put up an assembly plant, they're going to scoff because you don't have constant power.
That's right.
Everybody's running generator. Generator, you can't even sleep at night in Abuja. Generator noise everywhere, you can't sleep. How can you function as a society like that? You cannot.
That's right.
So
Now, what are your plans to make government more females and youth inclusive?
Oh yes, oh yes. If you look at the trajectory of political leadership in our country, it's always been somebody in the 70s, in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
You know, the commissioners are in their 50s, in their 60s. These guys don't give, they don't feel constant, lack of constant power.
Okay.
They use indoor plumbing in their homes. You get my point, Val?
Yes, yes.
If you don't, like I was saying earlier, if you've never had to use a bush, I want to use the word toilet. If you've never had to use a poop in the ground or bush toilet, growing up, you're traveling, let's say you're traveling from Uyo to Lagos by bus, and you stop over in Benin to eat,
Yes.
and then you want to poop, or you want to pee, there is no place. You have to go into the bush
And actually use it.
and actually use it. You use newspaper, poop on the newspaper and throw it right into the bush. We cannot continue to live like this, Val.
Come on.
I'm
Dr.
bearing my
Ty.
soul out to the people of Akwa Ibom and to Nigerians. We cannot continue to live like this.
That's right.
We cannot. We have to have indoor plumbing in our restaurants, in our offices, in our homes, and live like human beings as nature and God intended for us to do. We cannot keep living. We are living like we are in the Stone Age, Val. Like our ancestors live, the way we live is like our ancestors live. But the politicians and all these leaders, they live big. Val, they live big. They have generators that are running. They have indoor plumbing. But somebody that graduates from electrical engineering from University of Ife is out there pooping in the ground. Imagine you watching a woman get into the bush and spreading her leg to pee. It is a shame. There's no dignity. The bathroom or toilet is one of the biggest dignity of human existence. If you don't have that, then you might as well call yourself primitive. If you cannot evolve from that level of existence, call yourself primitive. And so we don't have, when I visit Uyo, I have to stay in, let's say, 5-star hotel or some hotel that have this facility. But I'm not better than my colleagues that we went to school with.
That's right.
I'm not better. So let me do something so that it's just like planting the tree. Plant the tree. Don't go for an apple, so that everybody will eat from that tree.
That's right.
Sorry about I'm being very passionate.
Oh my God, wow. I mean, you guys that are listening and to
Akwa
this
Ibom.
Akwa Ibom and as here is I'm just speechless. This is a lot of information to take in, but I'm so just grateful to be able to sit here with Dr. Ty and share this information. We're gonna continue on.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you.
Tell me, why are you doing this?
Why I'm doing this? I mean, I'm comfortable with my life, but I see, like Martin Luther King, he gave a speech one evening and he could tell that he was going to die, but he didn't mind. He didn't mind going to Memphis. Was it Memphis? He didn't mind going in and working with the workers. That's because right. He was passionate about the people. So it is the same thing with me. I mean, I don't want to die. I want to one day wake up to see that we have 24-hour electricity without any interruption. I want to live to that day. But what is driving me? Why am I doing this? I'm doing it because our people are dying across the Mediterranean. I don't know if you've watched the news lately. Our migrants are dying across the Mediterranean, trying to cross over to Europe. Why did we ask for independence? Why from Europeans? Why can't we do something for our people so that our youth? So my passion is on the youth. We have to take care of our youth because our youth are dying across the Mediterranean. It's embarrassing. Nigeria is ground zero of the black universe development. Now, if Nigeria does not develop, Detroit does not develop. If Nigeria does not develop south side of Chicago, we are not given any respect from sea to shining sea. Nobody in Russia respect us. Nobody in Alice's palace respect us. Nobody in any way respect us because of Nigeria. Val, we are 100 and something million people, the biggest population. So we need a fresh new leadership to try and make things happen, put things in place so that we can start getting world respect. We don't have any respect. When there's a slavery now going on in Libya, our young boys are going into slavery because they are running away from the economic conditions. These are graduates. So we cannot continue to allow this to happen. That's why I'm jumping in. I'm not a politician. Let me say, I am not a politician. I am a mechanical engineer. All my life is engineering. I believe in fixing problems. I'm passionate about fixing problems. So don't think that I'm a politician. I am a problem solver.
I gotta go back to something you said about in Liberia.
Ivory Coast.
You said that some of those young men are well educated.
Yes.
But they're running away.
Yes, because the government, you have very good value, you are a very smart woman. You are a very smart woman. One of the things that is causing the lack of youth empowerment is lack of opportunities. The government will rather bring in Julius Berger to come and construct the road. They would rather bring in the Chinese to come and build the bridge. You get my point?
Yes.
The government does not have confidence in your own people. If our president is sick, our president runs to London to be treated. You know, so our government does not have confidence in our graduates. Why do we have schools then? Shut the school down. Let's shut the school down. If you can, so in other words, what I'm saying is, you know, give our youth an opportunity to build a bridge. And if they failed, you know, you tell, okay, I gave you the opportunity, you failed. But we do, our civil engineers, our electrical engineers, they are not given any opportunity at all. Our people are passionate about bringing expatriates from Europe and America. Why do we have education? So your question was?
About the young men that just really piqued my interest.
Yes. So in Ivory Coast, like I was saying, in Ivory Coast, the French is a dumping ground for French product. Lotion, soap, tissue paper, everything. And then the cocoa, they ship it out, the fresh cocoa to be made into chocolate. And then they ship it back to them to consume. So nothing is being produced. So because the leadership have to start demanding to the French and say, look, we want 10%, 20% of the lotion market. And the French would say, if we are, like I was saying earlier, if we are going to bring in our resources to create this 10, 20%, we want it all. We want 100%. But they're going to say, look, we're going to buy our equipment. We're going to buy your equipment, but we're going to employ our youth to make their own lotion. So then the government, the leadership would then send out SOS to the highly educated, skilled people at Renault. Renault is a French company. At NASA. Africans in NASA, Africans at General Motors, Africans at Ford, come home. Come home and help. We are about to make lotion.
Yeah.
We want this 20%. We have the machine, everything ready. And if anybody in the government tries to steal the money from buying those machines, they will be summarily dealt with, including execution. Because we have to start sending out the message. So you could see the disconnect.
Yeah.
And that's the reason what fuels the poverty situation. Because you have these graduates come out, they have the graduates, they have girlfriend, they get married, they have children. So the cycle continues.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But if the young graduate engineer comes out and get a good paying job, then he would be able to, the cycle also continues at that level.
Right.
So
we're gonna go a little bit further, but I wanted to bring that up, Dr. Taya, about in Liberia, right?
Ivory Coast.
Right, Ivory Coast.
Yes.
About the slaves, because we here have been seeing that a lot, especially on.
In Libya. You mean Libya?
Libya.
Yes.
Libya.
Yes.
about the slaves and everything that is going on over there, and we only get so much. But what you were saying is some of those young men are educated.
Highly educated, because they are frustrated. In other words, not just Libya, a number of women and children have died trying to cross the Sahara Desert over into Europe. They've died. In fact, recently 90 of them, they discovered them dead because they run out of water. Our people are perishing on the Mediterranean because there is no economic condition over here. Look at my state, Akwa Ibom State. We don't have constant electricity that at least that will make us to be ready for investment. So we have to create we have to value the youth. We can't just be valuing the youth during election time with bags of rice, with loaves of bread, with 5,000 naira. It's not enough. It's not enough. We have to change. We have to create conditions so that these youth, when you graduate, when you study, so education in Nigeria is very competitive. Very, very competitive. Look at the same thing in India. Very competitive. But the government create institutions, creates jobs. So we have to create jobs for our people, for our youth, and it will curtail the migration. The international committee knows this, but they won't do anything about it. But it takes the right leadership to tell these companies, look, right now you are holding 80, 100% of the tissue paper, the toilet paper.
Yes.
We don't want that. Just give us 5%. We're going to let's manufacture 5. I'm just using 5%.
Yeah.
5% goes a long way. After 5%, you take 10%, we want 10%. But our leaders don't demand. So we become a dumping ground. So that our people all struggle with buying and selling.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Now, I mean, everything that you have shared here today is just so profound, especially for us that don't know what's going on over there.
That's right.
You're doing all this. What's in it for you?
Nothing is in it for me. I growing up as a little boy in these conditions, I used to carry the biggest can 3 miles out to fetch water. That's why I'm short. You see, I'm short. I'm not tall. We were 4. I didn't drink milk on a regular basis. I never. Egg was a luxury. Egg.
Wow.
Eating egg was a luxury. So that's why you don't see me tall, because when I was 7, 6 years old, I used to go 3, 4 miles. My brothers and sisters will tell you, I used to go 3, 4 miles to go and fetch water with the biggest can on my head and come back. Then after, when I come back from water, I'll go 3, 4, 5 miles out to go bring firewood for cooking. And I always carry the biggest bundle.
So you had the biggest one.
The biggest bundle. So that crushes me down. Yeah, it crushes me down, and I didn't grow to become 7 feet. I didn't become 6 feet tall. So with that passion, I'm like, let me give back.
Yeah.
Let me give back, because even with what they say, to whom much is given, much is expected.
That's right.
I have been blessed. I have been given in so much. And I feel that I need to contribute. As I'm contributing here, with Ivona,
yes.
I also want to contribute across the Atlantic. Yes. Because this is my people. This is where I grew up.
That's your home.
Yeah, that's my home.
That's right. That's right. Now, if offered a position in government or a lot of money, say about $20 million, would you reconsider your plans?
Absolutely not. Even if you're going to give me $1 trillion, I will never abandon our youth, because we have to plant the seed, the seed of innovation, the seed of healthcare reform, the seed. It takes a passionate leader. It takes and somebody in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. It takes a leader, a STEM leadership, because STEM, our orientation is about problem solving. Yes. If I'm driving around the street of Uyo and I see trash piled up, I will stop the car right there and say, where is the Commissioner for Environment? Report here in 10 minutes, I want to see here. I don't want to see this again. And if I drive around town and I see trash piled up again, you lose your job. You get my point?
Hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable.
That's right.
Hold the leaders have to start holding people accountable.
That's right.
So that is my passion. I want to be able to make a difference. But Val, in all of these conversations that we're having,
Yes.
give me constant electrical power or death.
Yes, yes, sir. Oh, now, why do you think that black communities all over the world share the burdens of the haves and the have-nots?
It is because of the economic opportunities. For some reason that I don't understand, that are black men or black women, when they are in charge of something, they don't think about their neighbor. They don't think about, if you come to Uyo now, you see mansions with a gate, but the road leading to that mansion or around that area is potholed. You can't even floor, you have stagnant water everywhere. But so that selfishness is what drives. If you look at Haiti, you look at Jamaica, you look at south side of Chicago, we don't have this empathy to say, look, we are all in this together.
That's right.
So it's going to have to take Nigeria, like I was telling you. The way Nigeria goes is the way the rest of the world will go, because everybody looks at Nigeria. I'm telling you, everybody, the white people look at Nigeria, the Russians look at, everybody, Chinese, they look at Nigeria, because Nigeria, they have what it takes, but the leadership fails.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, last one here. You talked about leadership failing. Tell me about corruption, and can it be ended?
Corruption can be ended. In this country, corruption, what fuels corruption, cronyism, nepotism, is lack of economic opportunity, lack of opportunities. So, and another thing is, like I was telling you about short time earlier,
Yes, sir.
our leaders, our black men in Africa, not only in Nigeria, they like women too much.
Okay.
One woman is not enough, and it's not like it's not enough. There's a lot of pressure.
Okay.
Because the women also want to survive. So there's a lot of pressure on the men. So they resort to corruption to make. This woman comes and said, look, I have a wedding. Alhaji, I have a wedding in France. My friend is going, I want to go too. The Alhaji will say, well, I don't have any money. But what am I going to do? Okay, that guy is going to have to give me 100,000. You get my point? So it fuels corruption. The pressure, the lack of opportunities. If people are working and making money, and there are job opportunities, like companies begging for people to apply for job. Right now, I don't know if you Google, you will see there was a job position that was posted in Abuja a few years ago. I think 500,000 showed up for only 100 vacancies. The whole stadium was packed with people, and then they trample on each other, and so many died.
For a job
opportunity for only 100 or so vacancies, 5,000 showed up in the area. So what I'm telling you is the lack of opportunities fuels corruption. Corruption will only be eliminated when there are plethora.
Yes.
Plethora. You have options. When you have options, corruption will be eliminated.
That's right. Now, I know we talked earlier, and you said you did not want to elaborate on short time, but I want to go back there because not only will this be seen in Akwa Ibom, right?
Akwa Ibom, yes.
Akwa Ibom, but it's also going to be seen here. And so they may know what that means, but we don't know what short time means.
Well, short time, another word for short time is prostitution. Okay. Obviously, there are prostitutions all around the world, but those people have options. Right. In China, they have options. In Detroit, in Washington, they have options. But in our place, the women they don't have any option. The only option is short time, asking a man for short time. or overnight, whatever that may be. But what I'm saying, if we are going to churches, if you come to Akwa Ibom, there's churches everywhere. So why do we go to church? What are we learning in the Bible or the Quran? What are we learning if we cannot recognize that our children matters? We must create conditions that will make them not to have short time as the only option.
That's right.
You know, when I visited there, you know, women were lining up trying to get, but you know, you gotta protect yourself.
That's right.
You gotta tell, look, this is not right.
That's
right.
right.
But the vast majority of our people is all about this pressure, the pressure of sex and entertainment overwhelmed, consumes them. So what? You know, so how many do you want? How many houses do you want? Create opportunities.
That's right.
You have to create opportunities. But Val, the way to create these opportunities starts with constant electrical power.
It all leads back to there.
Folks,
you heard it here. This is Dr. Ty, and I am Val Ward, and you are listening to VW Pop-Up Movement, and I am so excited to be sitting here with you today. He shared his heart with you and with me today. And we appreciate that, Dr.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, flawless. Just another understatement of what God is. I'm somewhere in between where the end and the start is. When time was at the darkest, shine came through the chorus. Harmonized all together, desert, ocean, forest. Effortless, enormous, papyrus script recorded. Gold temples can't contain the places where the Lord is. It's sorta like outside the dictionary or thesaurus. I am no borders. He is the pieces of the puzzle, blood borders. The cost of everlasting worth the price cause he saw us. Before we even had a concept of what to call it.